Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Iowa soccer supporters. I'm Ben Brackett here, your Soccer Talk co-host, alongside my good buddy Blake Sievers. We are also joined by our great friend of the pod, Iowa soccer legend and co-GM for the Des Moines Menace, Charlie Bales. Charlie, welcome.
Thank you for having me this morning.
You're gonna have to speak a little bit in the mic, so get a little closer to me.
Oh, can't wait.
Good plug for our YouTube channel. Check us out there. You can see us on location because we have now for 2 times in a row botched our first recording and had to come in the next day and record it again. So Charlie's been kind enough to welcome us into his home here at Krause Gateway Center. So again, plug for the pod and the YouTube site to check out our background and just the beautiful place we're at, right, Blake?
That's right. Got the come and go cups handy, free cup of coffee here. So thanks for hosting us.
Yeah, it worked fine yesterday. You guys just needed some coffee this morning.
Exactly. We just helped ourselves. So we are here for game of the week. We had a fun time last night taking in the Waukee Warriors against the Northwest Wolves in a historic first match, right, Siebes?
Yeah, first time ever. And I would like to think we had a little part to play in arranging the matchup because we were down in Kansas City with Carlos and Ryan, coaches of the boys programs, and they hadn't had a game yet. And we were able to mend the
bridge the gap.
Yeah, it was definitely uncomfortable. I could tell that it was a bit hostile, but we said, hey, you guys have to play now that you've split schools.
Yeah, Blake throwing down the ultimatum, and I guess it worked. He's just such a intimidating force, right, Charlie?
That's correct. Yeah.
So big game though. Waukee historically before the split was one of the strongest programs in recent history. Had won back-to-back titles before sort of crashing out last year, and then with the split, Carlos Aceby, who was the previous coach of the old Waukee, is now the Northwest Wolves coach. And then Ryan Sander has taken the helm for the Warriors. Kind of a tale of two different teams for the beginning, tale of two cities, I guess.
Well, let's jump back a step and plug Charlie's Instagram, because I saw you this morning. You had a story on there about the stadium.
Oh yeah.
So let's talk a little about just driving into that unbelievable complex.
Yeah. So the three of us had never been there before. So had no idea where I was going really until all of a sudden there was just a beautiful high school and outstanding athletic facilities. It just kind of popped up out of nowhere. The plug for Instagram is at Little Chucklehead, by the way. If you want to go check it out, it should be on there for a few more hours today. But so, I mean, the field was absolutely fantastic. You can't, I would argue that it's one of the best high school stadiums, 100% in the state of Iowa currently. It's at Northwest, it's dug out. They have a absolutely fantastic scoreboard there where they were doing. Blake really loved the player intros before the match. Sound system was bumping. It's adequately lined. There's turf, enough turf so that the field's not right on the track, which is what you see at a lot of different places. But overall, a good venue. And we can talk about some of the supporters that were there last night as well.
Yeah, and a heated press box.
Which,
like, we joke about it. Yeah, I mean, that was super nice. They definitely did it well. And I mean, should we talk about the Hooligans? I mean, we went to first game of the week started a couple of years ago, and the Waukee Hooligans, they had their own social media account. We interviewed them. They were great. And it was the best atmosphere we've seen in a while, the high school game. Guys,
Blake does say that every week, but this was a good atmosphere.
It was. I mean, the guys had their tank tops on when it was cold out, and they were loud. And I mean, after the first goal, the Waukee boy or the Northwest boy came over and silenced them, and it was good.
True. Interesting though that Northwest Wolves don't have their own pack of wolves or something like that. The wolf pack. There we go. Sorry, not as quick as you are there, Charlie. Yeah, they definitely should have a wolf pack to counter the Hooligans. And I don't know, maybe we'll see if maybe that's something we'll start as well, Siebes.
We did also learn last night that there are air balls in soccer, according to the Waukee Hooligans. So for all you listeners, an air ball in soccer, according to the Waukee Hooligans, is just when you miss the frame. So
A lot of air balls in this room right now.
yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the game. We mentioned that it was a little chilly last night. So first we should let the weatherman chime in quickly. What'd you think about the weather, boss?
Yeah, it was cold, nothing out of the ordinary. Obviously, as of late, it was windy in the first half, which is weird for the last month here, it seems like. But I'd be interested to know who won the coin toss, because Waukee was going into the wind the first half and it was quite steady. And this is a good segue to talk about how good the Waukee goalkeeper was. He made a couple of great saves there in the first 10 minutes, and then leading into Tyler Rayburn there on the left, who ended up scoring the first goal off a header. But Chu, give us your little analysis, since the cameraman was a bit tardy with all the traffic.
Yeah, there
out
was
in the middle of nowhere.
But I'd be curious if you remember last night, I was going to ask you a question right about this juncture. I forgot the question, but I just remembered it.
I can't wait.
So the question is, the coin toss, very important piece to the game. Obviously, it could have been the difference. What's your strategy on coin toss, Charlie? I know that you're frequently a captain.
Yeah, so coin tosses, right? So one thing is, similar to Blake, I'm a big weather guy myself. I love to. I took a weather class in college, meteorology class in college.
It's called meteorology. It's not a weather class.
Yeah. Meteorology. Took a meteorology class.
A weather class. I used to just go outside.
Oh yeah, I learned some amazing things there. So like when the wind's coming in with some northwest cold air advection, and it brings in potentially a storm, and then all of a sudden it gets much colder. I love throwing out big words like that all of a sudden. But for strategy, one is you need to know the wind, right? I go as far as I texted my friend Ben Brackett on Sunday morning at 6:30 a.m. and I said, we need to defend the north for our Sunday league game, because the winds were going to increase from 12 miles an hour to 20 miles an hour.
You've done analysis
during the match. So
and he was correct too.
I was 100% correct.
And it was the difference.
Big difference.
We went from 3 goals in the first half to 11 in the second half.
Yeah. So
get back to the question. Are you a guy, say the wind is constant the whole game, do you like going into it or with it in the first half? What's your
I like going into it
in the
first half, correct? Yes.
And taking it at your back in the second half because you know what you need to get.
Weather the storm.
Yes, weather the storm, and then high press the entire second half. I'm not letting them play short.
Okay.
I want them to kick it. I want to get caught in the wind. I want my center backs dunking on kids.
On that note, then, are you a t-shirt kind of guy? Because there was this clearly obvious Northwest wore no long sleeve shirts. Where a lot of the Waukee boys were in long sleeves. We noticed that. So it's interesting.
There were no tights though. I was very pleased to see.
Yeah. So, I mean, one thing that I've learned from these two is that, one, they think that a soccer game is determined 50% by the coin toss and 50% by is a team wearing tights, gloves, hats, and long sleeve.
So are you a tails?
To your question,
heads or tails?
To your question,
that's where I want to.
I don't care. Just whatever I'm feeling.
Just go. Okay.
Yeah, it's what I'm feeling on the day. But for tights and whatnot, I would say that as a player back in the day, I always refused to wear gloves, hats, tights, nothing, because I do think it is a mentality thing. Like, hey, we're out here, we're tougher than you. Look at these guys.
So, okay, you guys hassled me last night on the first recording of the pod, but I got to bring it up again. We talk about hats and pants. Referee had a hat on and pants on. Sean Geiza, you are our resident referee.
I was wondering if you'd come back to this.
Like, we got to fix that, Sean. I think it adds a little bit of validity if you're actually dressed properly. And I just can't stand hats and pants.
Just to clarify,
a high level game.
Just to clarify, the center and one linesman were wearing warm up pants and hats and gloves. No gloves. It was cold, but it was not that cold.
Okay,
we were also in a 75-degree press box.
So let's get to the game. So tactical analysis, hey, as the co-GM of the Menace.
So I'll revert back to you talking about the keeper and the first goal. So first off, Northwest came out hot. Blake and I were watching. Ben was stuck in traffic, but they were peppering. The Northwest Wolves were peppering Waukee's goal. The first 10-15 minutes. And are we sticking with Magnus was the keeper, Bruno?
Yes.
So freshman keeper, kudos to him. A 13, 14, 15-year-old kid playing in net, playing varsity soccer it's not always the easiest. He's got a few games under his belt now, but You know, it's the big leagues in that sense, and he was keeping them in the game from the get-go. When Waukee goes on the road to Northwest, you know, they don't want to go down super early in a match because that can put it down for the rest of the match. And Magnus made 1, 2, 3 really solid 1v1 saves to keep them in. You want to talk about the goal?
Well,
I don't.
Yeah, let's lead up to it. So Tyler Rayburn, we talked briefly, was a animal out there on the left.
He was,
and got past his guy 3 or 4 or 5 times, and I mean, ended up coming off a corner kick. And I don't want to be harsh because we just talked about the Waukee goalkeeper coming up big, keeping him in the game. I think unfortunately he got lost a little bit on the corner. Had come out and nobody covered for him. Right, he came out to try to win it, didn't get there. Nobody covered for him as he was off his line, and Rayburn got up big, strong, and put it in the back of the net with his head.
Yeah, he nodded a home back post. Bruning got caught a little bit in no man's land. And I mean, there's a ton of aspects into being a well-rounded and solid keeper. I think that, you know, I touched on the shot stopping, but he is not a super tall goalkeeper as a freshman. So I think that, you know, potentially on some of the services throughout the match, he was either caught in no man's land or wasn't that you know, physical dominating presence in the box, jumping over everyone and collecting service.
Yeah, something that hopefully will come with some time for him.
100%.
Who else did you like for Waukee, Charlie?
Waukee, I liked left center back, Aiden Hillis. I thought he was solid throughout the match. You know, I think that throughout the 80 minutes, he did the majority of his time was spent defending the kind of the onslaught of the Northwest Wolves attack. But you could tell that, you know, he was cool, calm, collect on the ball, and then was good in the tackle as well.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the Wolves briefly. We talked obviously about Rayburn, but we talked about number 7, Abdullah Iqbal, kind of looking a little bit like the menace boy this summer, big, strong, target forward, able to hold the ball up, set it, kind of spin out and whatnot.
Yeah, Iqbal was fantastic. Blake told me about the 65th minute that he was only a sophomore, and I had to double check him because he's usually wrong on these things, but he was correct. Iqbal was he was great playing as a target up there for Northwest. I think a lot of the attack came through him. He was the point man. Did a great job deciding when to turn and when to hold the ball up and play wide and then make dangerous runs into the box. So
he played the ball for the second goal, correct?
He did, yes.
Which was a great example of his hold up play. You want to talk us through that a little?
Yeah, so I'm not sure who played the initial ball into him, but you know, he just one of those classic futsal bottom of the foot touches to hold the ball up. Waited, timed it.
You kind of like hold his defender
hold his
too,
guy
right?
off, hold his guy off. And then inside of the right foot, just put his guy, let him perfectly into space, and a cool, calm, collected finish. Not sure who scored that second one for Northwest.
Well, it would be helpful if they had rosters.
Oh yeah, that's you talked about that a lot last night. Do you want to?
Yeah, I just think
some more.
Carlos and Waukee administration guys print out rosters. If we need to put Kick It Forward's logo on it and print them off, like we'll pay for that. But you guys have unbelievable facilities. Help us out here with rosters. That's it.
All right. So just if you ever want to get Blake upset, you know how to do it. Wear gloves.
Don't hand him a piece of paper when he walks into a game.
Don't hand him a piece of paper. Wear gloves. Wear a hat. So anyway, good player there. As you mentioned, Iqbal. And then the guy I also really liked was the number 4, Sam McDevitt, kind of playing in the kind of the base of midfield. And I think it kind of goes to like overall, you know, last night you mentioned, Charlie, that you sort of thought the difference was the one team wanted it just a little bit more. And it seemed like Northwest was that team. They were at home in front of their own fans, and they were just kind of snapping into tackles. And that was kind of what I liked about that number 4 is there was one point I remember somebody kind of like bullied him off the ball, and he like tracked the guy down, like hunted him down, like won the ball off of him, kind of bodied him and got it back. And it was just kind of like, ooh, he's not messing around. No, and I like that. That's my kind of guy.
Yeah, that's good. Good analysis, Ben. Glad you were able to get there to pick that up. But and the one last thing I'll say regarding the game is you talk about these guys knowing each other. It was intense. Tackles were flying, but it was cool that everybody kind of kept their heads. We talked to Carlos a bit at halftime. He was a little bit nervous, maybe that emotions might have kicked off, but all these boys, they did not let the emotions get the best of them. And it was a good, clean, hard fought battle by both squads.
Blake, do you want to talk about some of the gamesmanship that might have taken place last night as far as missing personnel?
Oh, they are the halftime
debacle.
Yeah, that's so yeah, we have to mention that one more time. So Max Barticek, number 10 for Waukee. I thought he was actually pretty good as well. He almost had that goal. Almost had a good little volley, put it on frame. But as we go over talking to the coaches, he was injured, and the athletic trainer mysteriously, as in quotes, went missing. So he's trying to get treatment, and nobody can find the trainer. Which again, I don't know how that happens, but I think the Northwest Wolves staff may have told the trainer to come in and hide for a few minutes because the second half doesn't start on time, does it? Because Barticek has to get treatment on the table, and everybody's wondering what's going on. Little news we knew actually though that the trainer's gone missing, and the second half kickoff got delayed 2 or 3 minutes because he's got to get treatment on looked like his hamstring or his calf.
Yeah, tight hammy it looked like. To be fair, Carlos and the Northwest staff did, the ref actually blew the whistle for the second half to begin, not knowing that there was a player like getting treatment. He might have blown the whistle because he couldn't hear players because that hat was so tight on his head. But to be fair, Carlos and the staff, walked onto the field and said, hey, hold up, like we got to get this kid treatment. So yes, the trainer was missing. Blake, maybe they had to use the restroom or something potentially, and maybe it wasn't just an absolute, they weren't being saboteurs.
Well, Sander and Moon were discussing like quietly, like so I don't know. But thanks to the coaches, you guys, they gave us some time and tongue in cheek, but we appreciate you guys helping us out, and thanks for getting us in the press box, Carlos.
Yeah, it was great. So I sort of mentioned earlier, you've got a tale of two cities. Really, what I should have said is a tale of two schools. The split Waukee situation, though, the Wolves themselves are now they'll jump to 8-1. They are I can't remember what they're ranked right now, but I think it's something like 7th or 8th. Their next game is against Mason City, which I was looking at the Varsity Bound website. Mason City is possibly in like the bottom 3. So hopefully Waukee Northwest can figure that one out on Friday, and then Waukee takes on Valley on Friday. So they've got maybe a little bit trickier battle against my Tigers. Waukee dropped to, I think, 4-4 on the year. 3-5. Get no help from my boys here, but anyway. So what else you got?
I would say talk about a gauntlet. Northwest has a gauntlet coming up, right? After Mason City, they play Pleasant Valley, defending champion, traditional powerhouse Bettendorf, Ames, which they should win, but then end with Dowling, Ankeny, Ankeny Hawks, then Ankeny Centennial, then Johnston. So you want to talk about big games coming up for them. They got quite the test.
Indeed. Charlie, you asked last night what I thought. Do either of these teams looks like state tournament teams? Yeah. What do you think? I'm going to flip it on you.
You're using my question.
I'm asking you. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, because you didn't ask me, I'm asking you.
Oh, appreciate it. So basically, I think that, last night was a 2-0 result in favor of the Wolves. I don't think that you can count out the Waukee Warriors for any reason. I do think that there still could, dependent on what sub-state looks like, could still get their way into the tournament. I do think that Northwest, with the athletes that they have and the organization of the lineup, I do see them getting through a sub-state and then, making a run at a state title. I think there's plenty of good teams out there. I've watched quite a few games so far this spring. But as Blake mentioned, I think, Northwest will have a few challenges leading up to sub-state, and it'll be interesting to see how they perform. So it could change my mind between now and then. We still got a lot of soccer to play.
That's a good point. And Blake also wanted to talk about Waukee's end of the year schedule a little bit as well, right, Blake? So after they play Valley, then they take on Dowling, Fort Dodge, Johnston, Southeast Polk, and North. So definitely a slightly easier route to the end of the season. I suppose they'll probably hope or wish they would have gotten some of those maybe wins in earlier in the season. Because when does Sub-State come out, Blake? Do you know?
I don't.
Neither do I.
I'll have to call Jimmy after this and ask him. He should know. Anyway, so in the meantime, we're enjoying rivalry week. Last night, we saw Northwest play Waukee. Tonight, Dowling Catholic and Valley play, and also Lincoln and Roosevelt. And then Friday, you've got the big Merle Hay Cup with Urbandale and Johnston. And Urbandale's a team I'd really like to see play. Undefeated and have beaten some of the. They're not undefeated. Who beat them? I said this the other day, didn't I?
Yeah.
Who beat them?
They lost.
To who?
In the meantime, while I look that up, I have a public service announcement for boys and girls high school teams.
Because I was going to finish up the rivalry week. It comes to a culmination next Monday.
Okay. keep
Ankeny
going.
and Centennial.
Yeah.
For you. Yeah, go ahead. I was going to tee that up.
Oh,
I didn't get there.
No, that wasn't even my PSA.
Oh, what's your PSA?
Oh yeah, I didn't even mention this last night, but so for instance, we're looking back and we know that Northwest's next game is against Mason City. We also know, and everyone realizes from the outside looking in, that there are so many high school games in such a congested period of time that it's a lot, right? So you're some of these teams are playing 3, 4, 5 games in 7 to 10 days. And we would like to see, and I'm going to just speak on behalf of you guys, but we'd like to see rosters rotated and younger guys getting a chance to play some of these varsity matches and keeping them at 3-4-0 games in a Northwest versus Mason City versus some of these schools padding stats and beating teams 15-0, because it's not good for the game. I'm seeing stuff over in Eastern Iowa. I think recently I saw like Prairie beat up on a Waterloo East like 16-0, and it's unneeded. It gets kids to quit the game when you could be providing opportunity. You could be resting players. You could be providing younger kids opportunities to play in some of these varsity matches. And I think that more programs need to be rotating rosters for those reasons.
Comment that. Blake agrees too. So let me tee you back up then. Rivalry week
Last
culminating.
one, so, hey, you can get moving.
Yeah. Rivalry week is culminating next Monday with Ankeny against Centennial, where they are planning to pack the pitch and shoot for the state record for a soccer game attendance, which is held by yours truly here.
Yeah. So, obviously the Menace had a fantastic summer, 2021 summer, which, ended with winning our second national championship, postseason national championship in franchise history, in front of 7,342 fans at Valley Stadium. The Menace were approached by Ankeny saying, the Ankeny School District saying that they wanted to make this a really cool event, pack the pitch, Centennial versus Ankeny on Monday.
Boys, girls, doubleheader.
Boys, JV, then girls, then boys. So should be an absolutely fantastic night of soccer. We'll be out there supporting. I think we're gonna send out the Menace Maniac to interact with kids.
Can our cameraman has been the
Oh
maniac.
yeah,
Can we-
true.
can we
So
save-
yeah, we'll
save
do some
on
rock, paper,
costs and everything?
scissors. Yeah, we could. Because you'll I won't have to pay you for that, right?
No, of course
Okay.
not.
All right.
I
No,
do it
so
out for the
all right, so
love
you-
of the mascot.
yeah, you heard it here first. It'll keep you warm too. It'll probably be another chilly night. Like you'll be, yeah, okay. And what else about that match? Oh, anyone who attends that match, so the Pack the Pitch match will receive a free. We'll be able to scan a QR code to get a free ticket to the Menace home opener, which occurs Saturday, May 14th. Menace taking on St. Croix Soccer Club, brand new team in USL League 2. So, go out, support the Ankeny schools, support soccer, and then get yourself a free ticket to the Menace.
Love it, Charlie. Thanks for joining us today. We will be there with bells on May 14th to support you and the squad. Everybody else, check us out on the social medias at KIF_soccer on Twitter, at KIF soccer on Facebook and Instagram. Also, you can check us out on YouTube or our website at www.kifsoccer.com. Up the Menace.